Tobena Ezichukwu had everything a man in modern Lagos was supposed to want, except a say in who he was marrying. His mother, Lady Adara, had spent 11 months planning a wedding that had almost nothing to do with love. The bride, Whitney Balogan, came with a father whose oil logistics company Adaora needed, and a smile that never fully reached her eyes. "This marriage secures everything I built for you," Adaora told her son. "One day you will thank me for choosing well." Toby said nothing. He had learned long ago that agreeing was easier than explaining a feeling he couldn't fully name. Every night for as long as he could remember, the same dream returned. A woman's face he could never quite see clearly. In the dream, she always held something out to him, small, bright, just out of reach, before he woke gasping. He had never told anyone about the dream, not Whitney, not his mother. Only one person in Lagos knew it existed. That woman was Mama Nkiru, his late grandmother's closest friend, and the only person who never told him the dream meant nothing. Whitney Balogan understood something about this marriage that no one at the engagement party had bothered to ask her. Her father called it a partnership. Whitney had stopped correcting him. The word marriage rarely came up between them anymore. There had been someone else once, before the merger made her heart a line item in her father's business plan. "At least he's kind," she told her reflection, as if kindness alone had ever been enough to build a marriage on. "Tell me the truth this time," Toby said. "Why does the same woman visit my dreams every single night of my life?" Mama Nkiru finally rose, and for the first time in 28 years, she went to retrieve something she had promised to keep hidden. Inside was a photograph older than Toby himself. His grandmother, standing beside a woman whose family had once saved hers. "Your grandmother made a vow the night that family saved ours from ruin," Mama Nkiru said. "That vow did not die with her." "This woman in the photograph is not the one you dream of," she said, "but somewhere in Lagos tonight her granddaughter is." "The spirits do not forget a promise made in desperation," Mama Nkiru warned him, "and your wedding is now 11 days away." 3 days later, a friend dragged Toby to a small photography exhibition in Yaba, the last place he expected to find an answer. He stopped walking entirely in front of one photograph, a self-portrait of the artist whose eyes he had seen every night of his life. "That one's mine," said a voice behind him. He turned to find the exact face from his dreams, standing there in the flesh. They talked for 20 minutes about nothing important, and somehow both of them left, feeling like it had been about everything. "Take this one," she said, pressing a small photograph into his hand. His breath caught. It was the exact motion from his dream. He didn't sleep that night from restlessness. For the first time in his life, not because of the dream, but because of what was finally real. "I found her," Toby said before he had even sat down. Mama Nkiru only smiled as if she had been waiting for this exact morning. She held the two photographs side by side, one faded and decades old, one fresh from the day before, and the resemblance answered every doubt. Across the city, Chidinma found herself sketching a stranger's face from memory, unsure why a single conversation had left such a mark. She finally learned his name from a friend's post online, and froze at the wedding hashtag tagged right beside it. "There is a woman I'm supposed to marry," Toby told his mother, "and her name is not Whitney Balogan." Adara went pale at the sight of the photograph. She had hoped for 28 years that her mother-in-law's old promise had died quietly. That was your grandmother's foolishness, not a contract, Adora snapped. This wedding saves everything I've built. It will happen as planned. You have arranged my whole life, Mother, Toby said. You do not get to arrange the one thing that was never yours to give. Defy me, Adora warned, and you marry with nothing behind your name but the mistake you're about to make. The night before the final preparations began, Whitney found Toby alone on the terrace, staring at nothing in particular. Do you actually want this, Toby? Whitney asked quietly, because I stopped pretending I did a long time ago. For the first time, Toby told someone the truth out loud about the dream, the photograph, the woman whose face he finally knew. Whitney laughed. Not cruelly, but with the exhausted relief of a woman who had just been handed her freedom by accident. There was someone for me too, once, she admitted. Maybe it's time both our families stopped choosing on our behalf. They agreed to end it together, quietly. But both knew their parents would never accept the truth without a fight first. By the morning of the wedding, 400 guests had arrived at Lagos's most exclusive ballroom, none of them knowing what was actually about to happen. Lady Adara greeted every guest personally, glowing with the satisfaction of a woman who believed she had won. Backstage, Whitney stood in her wedding dress with a calm that unsettled everyone around her. She was the only one in the room who already knew how this would end. Outside the ballroom, Mama Nkiru arrived without an invitation, Chidinma walking uncertainly beside her, both women carried forward by something neither fully controlled. Inside, the officiant reached the moment every wedding includes, and no one ever expects to matter. Speak now, he said, or forever hold your peace. The ballroom doors opened. Every head in the room turned at once as Mama Nkiru walked calmly down the center aisle. Lady Adara rose from her seat, the color draining from her face. She knew precisely what this arrival meant for everything she'd built. Toby stepped down from the altar, not toward his mother's fury, but toward the woman standing frozen at the back of the aisle. This isn't a scandal, Whitney announced to the room. It's the first honest thing that's happened at this wedding all year. Chief Belogan opened his mouth to object, then saw his daughter's face, genuinely at peace for the first time in 11 months, and said nothing. You've humiliated this family in front of everyone we know, Adora hissed. Mama Nkiru only looked at her, unmoved and unafraid. I did not humiliate this family, Mama Nkiru said. I finished a promise your own mother-in-law made before either of your children were born. For the first time in the entire story, Lady Adara looked at her son's face and saw something she recognized, his father's exactly on the day they married. I built an empire believing love was a resource I could allocate, Adara admitted quietly. I was wrong about exactly one thing my whole life. Weeks later, in a garden far smaller than the ballroom, but far fuller than it had ever been, Toby married the woman the spirits had chosen for him all along. Among the guests sat Whitney, smiling for the first time in the whole story without having to perform it, her own hand quietly intertwined with someone new. Lady Adara stood near the back of the garden, dabbing her eyes. For the first time in the story, present only as a mother, not as an architect. Some promises are made by families. Some are made by the ones who came before them. This one, Lagos finally watched, was kept.